We're going to go Dutch on today's headphone review. Let's talk about the Rolfstone Focus.
Let's not beat around the bush. This is what you need to know.
You should buy the Rolfstone Focus if you want the best battery life on ANC headphones that we've tested. If you want great sounding ANC headphones, but not in the general sense of the term. If you want the lightest ANC headphones out of the many that we've tested. If you want excellent touch gestures, which are responsive. If you want a great transparency mode. If you want good value for money. If you want to support an underdog in the ANC headphones market.
Good job. You should not buy the Rolfstone Focus if you're looking for tier A noise cancelling, if you need your headphones to be cabled, if you plan to make calls in the wind, if you need an app to tweak settings and EQ, if you're looking to use them with a simultaneous connection to multiple devices.
Goedendag, we're DHRME.
Doctors,
Healing,
random,
mensen.
years. Thanks for sticking around. Now we're going to explain why we said what we said. Let's go Dutch.
Disclaimer, we received these headphones from Rolfstone, but this is an independent review.
So we have a few thoughts on the build of these headphones. The first thing that you immediately notice is how incredibly light these are. These might be the lightest ANC headphones that we've tried.
Now, this is a good and a bad thing. Good because they generally are more comfortable, but bad because they're plastic. Now, they might be really durable, but I would still use these headphones with care. The headband adjustment has discrete stops to be able to dial in the headphone size just right, and most people will be able to wear them.
The ear cushions are soft. Luckily, they come with a solid case, very reminiscent of the Bose 700's case.
Now, funnily enough, these also fold up, but when placing them in the case, they're laid out unfolded. It's a bit strange as they could have had a smaller case footprint, but they didn't.
Now, as I mentioned, these are super light, but these headphones do have some clamping force. The headband padding is on the meager side, but after a long day of work, they did tend to create some pressure on the temples. But all things considered, we would call these headphones comfortable and on the comfortable side of the spectrum.
Now, these are ANC headphones, so how does the ANC perform? We compared them to the top of the line headphones like the AirPods Max, Sony WH-1000 and the Bose 700.
In our results, we found that they did a good job and fall into like the tier 2 category. Impressive for the price, but it's not going to touch the champs like the AirPods Max or Bose 700 or even the Sony WH-1000
Yeah, and while on ANC, these have 3 modes: ambient mode, noise cancelling on, and noise cancelling off. We found that the ambient mode is very impressive. AirPods Max is the clear winner here, but this stands its ground and even outperforms the Sony XM4 and the Bose 700 in terms of how natural the ambient mode is. You cycle between these modes using one of the 2 buttons on the headphones.
Yeah, the other button, the power button, is hidden away behind the frame, just like the USB Type-C charging port. A curious design choice, but I suppose the hidden message is that you're rarely going to use them because the battery life is so good. We'll come back to the battery life later. What I do love about the design though is the touch controls. Easily the most responsive touch surface I've used on headphones, almost to the point where I'd say the latency is like hitting a real button. Another nice design touch is that the touch area is like a dimple, which means you instinctively know which part is touchable and which one isn't. As against something like the Sony XM4 where the whole cup is a touch area.
It also comes with a nice case, something we used to take for granted before Apple decided to enter the market. The overall design is understated, no flashy colors on the packaging or the headphones, just black with a matte and a reflective material that catches the light. The logo itself also doesn't scream for attention, so all in all, Rolfstone has gone for an understated design. They're not loud and obnoxious. How very European.
The biggest shortcoming of these headphones, sound-wise, is that the Rolfstone Focus don't get as loud as other headphones. The same also applies to the voice prompts. Now, I usually avoid crossing 70 to 80% on most ANC headphones to avoid damaging my hearing. But on the Focus, I could easily hit 100 on quieter tracks. So it's not really for people who like it loud, whether it be volume or bass. And I was very, very surprised when I listened to these headphones for the first time. The literature featured the B word, bass, front and center. So I was bracing myself for a Sony XM3 kind of situation and the light has changed. So I was bracing myself for a Sony XM3 kind of situation, but when I actually listened to the music, the bass didn't stand out at all. It is a very, very balanced sound signature. If you want to approach the Rolfstone Focus's sound on something like the XM4, for example, try using the bright setting and turn down the clear bass quite a bit. So for those who appreciate balance in their music, this is actually a great choice. The highs are much more prominent out of the box, unlike a Momentum 3 or a Sony WH-1000 XM4 even. I also like the resolution on the treble with these. On Massive Attack's Teardrop, it had a wide soundstage and it just works beautifully for rock and jazz. I much prefer rock guitar tones on the Rolfstone, even compared to the AirPods Max. The dirt and the distortion is so much more in your face and not drowned out by anything else. The bass it does produce is clear and tight, but nothing that's gonna shake your head. It does a good job of representing the sounds well. The sub-bass frequencies are also present but not overbearing. However, if you're a bass head who's into EDM, maybe you could consider something else because...
Unlike the other headphones we mentioned, these don't have an app.
Yeah.
So no on-device EQ. You will have to get a third-party EQ app to tweak the sound. But if you like your vocals, you'll be just fine with these out of the box.
And when we're talking about vocals, we'd be remiss if we didn't mention how voices sound on this.
We did a phone call test. Have a listen to it for yourself.
And if you want to skip the test, just use the relevant YouTube chapters down below.
This is the Sony WH-1000 XM4 in quiet conditions. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3. So this is the Rolfstone Focus in quiet conditions. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle, test, test, testing, 1, 2, 3. So the Sony WH-1000 XM4 with background cafe sounds. So the grain on the wooden tables and the fireplace is often like not as powerful as you would imagine it would be, because motorcycles and the carburetor and all the engine parts actually, they will be a bit flowery sometimes, but sometimes it just feels like any other town hall, if you know what I mean. So this is the Rolfstone Focus with noisy background conditions. Once in a while there can be a jigsaw puzzle that goes into spring, but winter is really where it's at, because the yellow balloons aren't going to fly themselves, if you know what I mean. Sony WH-1000 XM4 in windy conditions. Head on, right ear cup, left ear cup, head on. Pop, pop, popsicle, ice, ice, icicle. 1, 2, 3. Alright, this is the Rolfstone Focus in windy conditions. Head on, right ear cup, left ear cup, head on. Test, test, testing.
So, what did we think? Both Rolfstone and Sony sound clear and loud in quiet conditions, and differ slightly in noisier environments. In windy conditions, Rolfstone loses out because, well, you heard them.
Yeah, we could only hear the speaker when the wind was blowing on the left ear cup, and in all other directions there was complete disturbance, and it was vice versa on the Sony, meaning the speaker was audible in all directions except when wind was blowing on the left ear cup. So the Dutch Rolfstone isn't very feet friendly.
Now, would a real fuckman be satisfied with the calling options? They're quite minimalistic. You only get the basic answer and hang up on the touch controls, and that's it. There's no function for muting calls or side tone for hearing your own voice when on a call. So the Rolfstone makes sense in simple and quiet European conditions.
So, Kevin, what else comes to mind when you think of Europe?
High taxes.
No, high quality of life. With good quality of life, you may expect better life expectancy, and that is exactly what the headlining feature on the Rolfstone Focus is. A whopping 100 hours of battery life without ANC and 70 hours, 70 with ANC. You almost gotta be unemployed to test the battery life on these.
Well, that guy is. He's been testing it for a while. Any idea what we should call him? Leave a comment down below.
While the yet to be named balloon is verifying Rolfstone's battery claims, we also want to talk about European euros. Focus retails for 150 euros right now, which puts it at roughly half the price of most flagship ANC headphones. But for the latest prices, check out our affiliate links down below. Using them won't cost you anything extra and helps support all the work that goes into making free content like this.
And what are the free extras you get with the Rolfstone Focus? Well, at least in the box, not much. One USB Type-C cable, no audio cable since no audio jack. First Apple, now Rolfstone, tomorrow's DHRME. Who knows? Courage.
Quick, be a subscriber before it was cool.
So, can it pair with multiple devices? No, it can't.
You have to disconnect from the first device to connect to the other paired device, but Rolfstone does try to ease the pain a bit by letting you double press the power button to disconnect them from the first device, but we found this to be not very reliable. There's no app, as we mentioned earlier, so you're pretty much left with the defaults out of the box when it comes to things like ANC and sound. There's also no wear detection or smart pause, which means the music doesn't automatically pause when you take these headphones off.
This is another niche thing, but the LEDs are hidden away behind the frame next to the power button, so there's no annoying blinking if you're in a dark room.
Let's talk about the fixability and future proofing on these headphones, the last on our A, B, C, D, E, F checklist. So these are available all around the world. Rolfstone says that they aim to build longer lasting products to reduce environmental impact. However, in terms of repairability, there are no spare parts sold. They do plan to sell replacement cushions in the future. They have a 30-day money-back guarantee, but this is related to the underdog comment we made right at the top of the video. If you're someone who wants to support new and upcoming companies, you're probably okay with all the risk that it comes with. But going with established brands generally tends to give you a better guarantee about the longevity of the company and their after-sales service.
You've been Rolfstoned, but focused.
And we've been DHRME.
Namaste.